Welcome back to our channel, where we tell the stories of Africa's greatest heroes and legends. Today, we bring you the extraordinary life of Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, the man who spent 27 years in prison and still came out preaching peace, unity, and forgiveness. His journey from a small village boy to South Africa's first black president is one of the most powerful stories in human history, a story of sacrifice, resilience, and hope. Nelson Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in the tiny village of Mbizo, in the Transkei region of South Africa. He belonged to the Thembu royal family. His father was a chief and counselor to the king. Mandela's Xhosa birth name was Rolihlahla, which means troublemaker. When his father died, Mandela was adopted by Chief Jonjin Toba Delenyibo, who raised him in the royal court. There, he learned the art of leadership, justice, and community, lessons that would shape his destiny. Mandela attended Clarkberry and Helltown, both missionary schools, where he was given the name Nelson by his teacher, a common colonial practice at the time. He went on to study at Fort Hare University, one of the few higher institutions for black South Africans. There, he met future leaders and became politically conscious. But after joining a student protest, Mandela was expelled. Soon, he fled to Johannesburg to escape an arranged marriage, not knowing his real journey was about to begin. Narrator. In Johannesburg, Mandela faced the harsh reality of apartheid, a brutal system that separated people by race and denied black South Africans their basic rights. He worked as a security guard, then a law clerk, and later studied law by correspondence at the University of Witwatersrand. In 1944, together with friends like Walter Sisulu and Oliver Tambo, Mandela joined the African National Congress, the ANC. They formed the ANC Youth League, determined to fight for freedom, equality, and dignity. Mandela was no longer just a young lawyer, he had become a voice for the voiceless. In 1948, the white minority government officially introduced apartheid, a system of racial segregation that divided South Africa completely. Black people were forced into poor areas, denied voting rights, and even needed passes to enter cities. Mandela and the ANC organized peaceful protests, strikes, and boycotts. Their campaign gained momentum, but also drew the attention of the government. In 1952, Mandela and Tambo opened South Africa's first black law firm, defending those charged under racist laws. Mandela was banned from public gatherings and placed under surveillance. But he refused to give up. His courage inspired millions. In 1960, tragedy struck. At Sharperville, police opened fire on peaceful protesters, killing 69 people. After that massacre, Mandela and the ANC realized that peaceful protest alone was not enough. In 1961, Mandela co-founded Umkhonto weSizwe, meaning Spear of the Nation, the armed wing of the ANC. He planned sabotage missions against government infrastructure, avoiding harm to civilians. The government called him a terrorist. Mandela called himself a freedom fighter. In 1962, he was captured, tried, and sentenced to 5 years in prison for leaving the country illegally. But even worse was to come. While Mandela was already serving his sentence, police raided a farmhouse in Rivonia and discovered documents linking him to sabotage plans. He and other ANC leaders were put on trial for treason, facing the death penalty. At his trial, Mandela gave one of the most powerful speeches in history. Microphone. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society, in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal for which I am prepared to die. On June 12, 1964, Mandela was sentenced to life imprisonment. He was sent to Robben Island, a small, harsh prison off Cape Town's coast. He would spend 27 years behind bars. On Robben Island, Mandela endured years of hard labor, breaking rocks in the limestone quarry. He was allowed one visitor every 6 months and could write one letter every 3 months. But instead of breaking him, prison made him stronger. He studied, taught other inmates, and built unity among prisoners. He became a symbol of resistance, not just for South Africans, but for people around the world. While he was in prison, the anti-apartheid movement grew globally. Countries imposed sanctions on South Africa. Musicians, students, and activists demanded, "Free Nelson Mandela." After decades of struggle, apartheid began to crumble. The world was changing. Inside South Africa, resistance and unrest made it impossible for the government to continue. On February 11, 1990, Nelson Mandela walked out of Victor Verster prison, a free man, at last. 4 years later, in 1994, South Africa held its first multiracial democratic election. Millions lined up to vote for the very first time. Nelson Mandela became South Africa's first black president at the age of 75. His victory was not just political, it was a triumph of forgiveness over hatred. As president, Mandela worked to heal a broken nation. He invited his former enemies to the table, preached reconciliation, and even wore the Springboks rugby jersey to unite a divided people. He established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where victims and perpetrators of apartheid could tell their stories. Mandela served only one term, stepping down in 1999, proving that leadership is service, not power. He spent his later years supporting peace, education, and HIV/AIDS awareness. On December 5, 2013, Nelson Mandela passed away at the age of 95. The world mourned the man who had become a symbol of justice, forgiveness, and freedom. Nelson Mandela's life reminds us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. He once said, "Microphone, no one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love." From prisoner to president, Mandela showed that love, forgiveness, and patience can change even the darkest history. Thank you for watching. If you were inspired by this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more powerful African stories. Until next time, remember his words, it always seems impossible until it's done.